So just as a brief FYI, there's a thunderstorm slash rainstorm going over the house right now. It's honestly been raining all day and yesterday and for days now, and if you hear anything in the background in terms of rain, forgive me, there's nothing I can do about it, but I just wanted to give a brief FYI. And so anyways, with that being said, let's begin, this episode review of Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. I think, out of everything I have seen so far from this series, and from this anime season, this is probably my favorite episode. Easily. Of all the things I have personally watched from this anime season. What Reigen went through, or what he was going through in this episode and last episode, is so real, it's disturbing. It really disturbs me with how accurate the depiction of what was happening to the man in this episode was. Like, the man, he was under fire by so many people, and nervousness in his character, his voice, to the voice actor, holy crap, by the way, that's some good stuff. Just everything about the way his character was depicted and what he had to go through emotionally was depressing. Because in that moment, when he is in front of a live audience, live TV, and he's doing like this show that's like, seeing a psychic trying to get rid of this spirit on this boy. And this old dude that's also like a psychic, we know he tried to set Reigen up. Well, that was already established at the end of the last episode. But Reigen, he didn't really know the full thing. And he felt like the entirety of this channel, like what was going on, it was just acting, and so he went along with it. He went along just to make a good show, to allow people to enjoy themselves, have fun, laugh, and so he was just making it to where the channel can, have a little bit of a boost. And so even though Reigen is technically a con artist, he's a liar and all that, and he's not really, aka a psychic, he is someone that is technically a good man, and he was trying to help out the channel. But in turn of doing this, and not really getting the full picture here, he was used. Not just for the fact of making an entertaining 1-hour special, but also, in fact, that they exposed him, showing that he truly wasn't a real psychic. And in that realization, when a dude walks in, like the dude that was trying to, kind of make him look bad, was like, oh, this boy, he's just been acting all along. And Reigen, as we know, he knew the boy was acting. He was very aware that the boy was acting, but he was going along with it just to make sure there was a good show. And when the dude just comes in after like 30 minutes of Reigen looking like a Dumbo while doing what he was doing, you're like, really? You just come and say the boy's acting? And then the people that were doing the show, like the host and all that, was like, oh, he was acting. What was that whole 30 minutes of what you were doing, all this spiritual stuff? Did you truly believe that you were doing anything, or you were exorcising a ghost? Just making him look like an absolute fool. And it's just a really sad moment, because stuff like that does happen. Like making people look so foolish and ruining their public image. And in a way, Reigen, even though I don't like the way it went about it to expose him, for instance, him realizing where he's at, and that technically trying to fake that he's a psychic isn't necessarily a good thing, I do think that it was good for him to finally face what has been going on in his life. But like I said, I don't like the way it went about, like how he had to get to that decision. But, that moment, though, when he was exposed, and you just see his character start to shake, he messes up his lines, what he needs to say, and he just starts making himself look worse and worse as he continues to say something. It's something someone would do in that situation. Not just in, like, are you a real psychic or not, but anything. Any type of discussion, someone might make you look like a fool, put you on the spot, and you'll be so shooken up with the question, you won't even know what to say, and then you become a laughingstock. It happens all the time, on social media, to TV, everywhere. It happens on YouTube. And, one person could say one line, and people meme the hell out of that, and you're just a fool from that day forward. And that's the thing. When that happened, Reigen literally became a meme. It was even established that everybody was memeing, making fun of him, laughing and all that. He was making waves throughout the news and stuff that he's fake. And even people started opening up like charges that, he was, charging people for fake services. And, there was victims to his service. And I'm just like, holy crap, this type of stuff does happen. Like, someone that's instantly exposed, or if there's a criticism on something, things start opening up to where, like, oh, we need to get him. We need to legally get him, bring him down, ruin everything about him, ruin him as a person. And when you see the news report of the press and all that sitting in the room while he's giving his press conference, and they're bringing up stuff from his school days, his graduation ceremony, to his speech and all that when he was graduating school, I'm like, what is the point in this? Why are you digging stuff like this up to let everybody know what he has said? It's not relevant at the time. You're just trying to bring in more dirt to get your 30 minutes of fame just for you can ruin this man, for your TV ratings or whatever can go up. And I'm just like, holy crap, this is real. It's what happens. And like I said, Reigen deserved it in some ways, but not to this extent. And I like how in that moment, when I was asked a question, like, are you proud? Like, why are you a psychic? What is the reason why you're being a psychic? And he was asked a question, and he was just silent. He starts wondering, why? Why did I do this job? Why did I even decide to open up a business like this? And he explains that, honestly, at one point in time before this all happened, he was a standard business worker. He was good at his job. He was, exceptionally good at it, and he was always on time doing things, properly. And then one day, he decided to get his own place because he was bored with his job. He quit, and he wanted something more fulfilling, obviously. That's kind of what he wanted. And he looked at this random ad article on a magazine. He saw this psychic type stuff, and he decided to make a business out of it. And in a lot of ways, I can relate with that. That's kind of what happened with me. I mean, when I started YouTube, I didn't just instantly think, like, when I was born or growing up, I was going to be a YouTuber or do what I'm doing now. And I can, in some ways, relate to Reigen in that regard. That you never know what's going to happen in your life. And he was just like, at first, it was supposed to be something just temporarily. Like, he was going to do it maybe for a couple months, maybe a year, and just, close up shop. But he come to find out that the more he did it, he just couldn't stop. And even if he didn't really know psychic abilities or he couldn't see ghosts, in some ways he was helping people out. And he kind of confirms this when he thinks about what he's done with Mob. For instance, when Mob first walked into his office, a little boy, and he looked at this little boy thinking this boy was trying to either scam him, make, fun of him, etc., etc., but Mob was really seeking for advice, and he looked at this innocent boy, before he knew he had psychic powers. He wanted to help the kid out. He just, wanted to reassure him. And, Reigen did say things that an adult should say, and he was coming from his own personal experience and all that. Even though he couldn't take his own advice, he was coming from his own personal experience. And when, Mob actually showed his psychic abilities, yes, we know Reigen used Mob, or was using Mob, but he still was technically helping him out. And which led to the conclusion of that moment to where he realized, since the very beginning, he has been using Mob. And when he's like, I was trying to free Mob, allowing him to grow as a person, but in reality, I started to cage him. He realized that. And he realized why Mob was so angry with him, and why Mob just left in the last episode, and how much he was dependent on him. And the realization when that hits him, he was no longer worried about his character on live TV. He was no longer worried about what was going to happen to him. If his, job or if his career or anything was going to turn out right for him. But in that moment, he realized how awful he was. And he knew that in some shape or form, because of how much Mob has changed, he most likely would be watching TV and paying attention to the news, because he's in the know. He likes to, he wants to be normal and stuff, so he's probably just tuning in. And so when he looks at the, the TV, and he's like, you really changed, haven't you? Like, he just looks and says those words. The only person that would understand that is one individual, and that would be Mob. And he never meant it in a way for anyone else to understand. And even though it would make the situation a lot worse, because people start asking, what's this about? What's this mean? Or whatever, or he's a crazy man. He did that just to basically say, I'm sorry. And then all of a sudden, we saw how the entire room started to erupt, and, things started to float, which it's obvious Mob stepped in and helped the dude out. But that's not the best part of the episode. The best part is probably the scene when Reigen asks, how long have you known? Do you know the truth about me? And Mob answers like, I've known since the very beginning. And just seeing the pain in Reigen's face when he realizes since the very beginning, when Mob walked in on him, like as a little boy, and realized he was a faker, he was hurt, because he's like, he's been trying to put up an image all along, and he's like, is he really thought I was this con artist, this awful man for so long? Because that's what he thought of himself like. I'm an awful person, what I've been doing. But when Mob's like, Reigen, my master, is a genuinely good guy, it hit him hard, because he's always been told he's scum, he's trash, and, you know, everything that was happening in the news, people hitting him and basically pushing him down, using him in a way to boost their own social status. If there was one person that stood up for him, was a very person that honestly didn't need to say it at all. Because if there's one person that had all rights to look down upon Reigen, it was Mob. Mob had all rights to call Reigen scum, trash, and you're an awful person. But he didn't. And that is what reassured him. He's like, wow, he's really changed. He's a good person. He's forgiven me. And I think this is a good step for Reigen. He's going to be able to try to change and take his business in a way a little bit more seriously, where he doesn't try to cheat people and cheat Mob as well. I think he's going to be very open about things now and allow Mob to really flourish as an individual and truly make friends and not be like a caged bird or whatever. It's just a great episode. I love the emotions that was put into this, and the music to the art and animation, as always, when it comes to Mob Psycho, is beautiful. But just a lot of life lessons can be learned from this episode, or just this little mini arc. And I think Season 2 so far, of Mob Psycho, is probably way better than Season 1. Because, in a way, Season 2 kind of concludes what Season 1 set up. But I just like how Season 2 really balances social problems and spirituals type stuff. Stuff that's kind of like for people wanting action or fantasy type setting. But we still have all this social problems that's being addressed and handled. I think the way this series can balance that is just truly special. I don't see many series that's able to accomplish this in a way to such a degree and make it feel like real life, even though there's just so many spirits around in this world. And also because of how the art style is too. I mean, it looks so goofy. It doesn't even look real in terms of just like the character designs, but somehow it does feel like real life. I don't know. This series just really speaks to me. But okay, overall, great episode. I think I've gotten that very clear how I felt about it. I think many can agree with me that this is easily one of the best or the best episodes of Mob Psycho 100. And I want more of this. Like, I want to see more development with Reigen. I want to see him change, and I want to see how Mob interacts with him now, and if they could, become closer, and not just, one side using each other. They both have a mutual relationship where they're truly helping each other out. But I want to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, I love you guys. Chibi out.